How we going, mates? Welcome back to another episode of The Top Step. First of all, baseball is going to be back in a couple of weeks, I hope. I know there's all these new cases coming out. The Dodgers just had 10 players, I think it is. At the time of this thing getting recorded, I just found out. I just turned my phone on, checked it out. But hey, welcome back to another episode. I know what is going to continue, whether there's baseball or not this year, is this podcast. Thank you all for downloading, subscribing, whatever you call it, to this podcast. And I've got a huge lineup of people who I'm going to get on, hopefully in person too. I'm hoping slowly but surely. Speaking of that, there's this whole, I call it political divide with the whole face mask thing. Like, just wear a mask, man. Just try it out. Whether you feel strongly about it or your freedom or anything like that, or you want to wear it, just wear one, just so we can all just get back to normal life, whatever state you're in, whatever it may be. My next guest and I talk about that a little bit. Before we get started on who my next guest is, first of all, I just want to give the plug. Go to www.thetopstep.com and check out the past episodes. There's a lot of good ones. And you can also check out other content. I got some good questions, actually. One funny one right now about the backdrop. I get it. I totally get it. If you're watching or listening, I've just got a door. I've got a TV. Kelly asked me, she said, hey, what's with the backdrop? Why don't you get the professional, the bookshelf, like the curtain or something, or like a logo? I don't know. I just, look, I've got too many things going on. I have to get on Amazon and customize it. I don't know how that works. If you got any suggestions, please shoot me a message you can direct message me on Instagram or Twitter and let me know, where can I get a backdrop? Where can you customize that thing so I can have on my reading right behind me? It looks like there's some pro bookshelf, but I'm at the top level of my house, just kind of hanging. I've got my drink bottle right here, if you can see, if you're watching this. The other one, asking me a couple other questions, asking me about the cartoon I made. Am I going to do more? Yes, I am, eventually. And they want more of Grant Balfour. We want to do more. Grant and I are very close. Thank you for the comments and the feedback on the cartoon. Do I eat Vegemite? Yes, I do. Shannon asked me if I ate Vegemite because I have a big, I think it says Aussiemite for I can't have Vegemite on the desk. If you haven't checked out the cartoon, go to www.thetopstep.com and you can scroll down. You'll see a funny little 2-minute cartoon that I made. I didn't make it. I had someone else make it. And someone else said, hey, you drink Foster's? ? It's not a Foster's can on the desk. If you look closely, it actually says Topsters. Just like Tropicana Field says Topicana Field. Come on, I can't start ripping brands off people. Let's go. So that's just me, just having fun with that cartoon. It was a blast. Grant wants to do more, by the way. Grant and I have some funny stories that we want to animate, and we are going to different locations. We're not going to be at our Sydney Harbour studio next ones, but a lot of fun. Now, let's get to my next guest, Braden Bishop, young Seattle Mariners player who made his debut last year. If you're up here in Seattle, you know who he is. If you're not in Seattle, get to know this kid, man. He has done, off the field, he has done some amazing stuff for Alzheimer's and brain health research. His mum passed away from Alzheimer's early onset last year in May, and it's amazing the progress he's made. We talk about that during the episode, and just some of the things he deals with on a day-to-day basis, even after the whole thing. So, we dive into that. It's pretty amazing when you talk to him, and from an outside looking in, we covered a lot on TV, and it's a good vibes, feel good story about kid doing amazing things for charity and for his mother and everything else. But when you really dive into it, there's a lot that goes on inside that family, dealing with that even afterwards. So we talk about that. He's now one of my favorite major league players right now. Seriously, this kid has done so much off the field, and he's about to kill it on the field. You just have that feeling that he works hard enough, he's patient enough. He's going to get his reps. He's at bats. He's going to do big things. So that's my next guest. He's also got, by the way, we kicked this podcast off, Cognition Coffee. You can, if you put in Cognition Coffee into Twitter or Instagram, it'll come up. Sweet logo too. He had the shirt on. If you're watching this, if you're not, go check it out. He basically, when you look at it, he's got the packaging, he's got the roaster, the whole blah blah blah, everything. This guy did this during quarantine. And I'm sitting there, I got off the podcast with him. I'm like, man, what have I done? Just sat here and bashed out a bunch of podcasts. What have I done, man? This kid has basically started his own coffee company. Anyway, we talk about that. We talk about what here is, his goals, what's he trying to do for 2020, getting back into it, what they have to do when they all start tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow's Friday. And they literally get back into camp in small groups. So we dive into that. Everything. It's a really good episode. But man, I'm a huge fan now of Braden Bishop. First chance we've had to talk. So this is a fun one. By the way, happy 4th of July. I know this is coming out the Monday after the 4th of July, but recording this. Hope you had a great weekend, people. Hopefully we can slowly but surely get on the same page, everyone, and get back to some sort of new normal, whatever it is. All right, guys. Enjoy this episode as Braden Bishop joins me on the top step.
No matter what happens, Ryan Rowland-Smith has something to tell his grandkids right here. First appearance of the big leagues. Face of a Hall of Famer. Especially if he strikes them out.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Junior now. The breaking ball. He struck him out. Yeah, that will be a story for the rest of his life as he strikes out Ken Griffey Jr. and the inning is over. But what an inning it was. And
all right, Braden. Now, as we were getting started, I had to ask you about. You got the shirt on, right? Now, if you're not watching this, by the way, it's Cognition Coffee, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that yours? Is that your company?
Yeah. I started it. It was like a little side project during this whole quarantine, stay at home.
Oh, so this is brand new.
Yeah. Started maybe 2 months ago.
Oh wow. Moving quick, man.
Yeah, we made it quick. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because see, I growing up in Australia, coffee is a huge deal. Like everyone's addicted, right? Everyone,
right.
Including me. I can't go. I go straight, percolator here. Then I have to go down to Revolution's Coffee down the street here in Greenlake, you should go check it out. And just smash out lattes. So what? So this is brand new.
Brand new. Started. So let's see. We ended in March. That's when we got sent home, and then about like a week in, I was like, I've always wanted to start one. Like, I wonder what goes into it. How would you get it started? What does it even entail? Is it a long process? So I kind of was reading about it, researching, reading other coffee shops who like to educate.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of two different ways. You can either go through a third party roaster. So they basically roast the beans for you. So that would be in Colombia, Peru, Hawaii, Australia. Yeah. And then they send you the beans. Gotcha. You package them and you ship them as your own. Because they're not technically a coffee brand. They just roast. And then there's also, you can buy your own equipment and roast your own beans, but I didn't have a place to put it. So
yeah, I was gonna. You're like, oh, check this out. You turn the camera, you just got this giant, huge machine.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So where do you get the beans from?
So we have two different roasts. The first one comes from Brazil, and the other one comes from Colombia.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but they're good. We went through it was about 2.5 weeks of customizing the roast profile and what it tastes like. Cause you like a certain taste. I like a certain taste. So I kind of want to make sure it was fruity and smooth and not super burnt and bitter.
Gotcha.
So
do you find Starbucks coffee taste burnt and bitter like that?
For sure.
Yeah, I really struggle with it. And I think, Starbucks tried to, I'm not going to sit here and knock Starbucks, but they tried to get into Australia. Initially, I think they're making another big comeback. But they tried to get in, and everyone's like, oh, man, Starbucks is here. Because Australians would go, to LA or Disneyland or whatever and go, oh, I got to get Starbucks. But they just failed. It completely failed.
Wow,
and I think,
that's crazy.
Can you imagine that? Because you think of Starbucks and these big, they can't lose, right? They
Right.
have a machine behind them. And then you see, I grew up in Australia where I grew up. I grew up on a basically beach town, and there was these streets just with coffee shop after coffee shop. But it's the latte. See, Australians will drop $5 on a latte without even thinking about it. And then my father-in-law comes to Australia and he's like, dude, why is everyone dropping like $5 when they can just go get the thing put in a machine?
Right.
So are you lattes at all or no?
Yeah, so when I first started drinking coffee, it was like vanilla lattes, caramel macchiatos, stuff like the specialty.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into like the iced coffee and
Right.
playing in the minor leagues. I mean, you try and sleep.
Folgers.
And then you try and sleep like as long as possible. And
Yeah.
then the coffee you get to pick up is like ones that are quick.
Yeah,
So that would be
right.
like cold brew and iced coffee. And then, you're playing these towns that are 100 degrees with 95% humidity.
Yeah.
So stuck with the ice for a while. And now I kind of just jump to everyone depending on what I'm feeling that day.
Are you just, if it's coming out of the machine, you just straight black? Or are you throwing creamer in there? What do you?
I'll do, like, I guess it depends. Like, I'm big into like grass-fed stuff. So I'll do like some grass-fed creamer or like
put the butter in there?
I have done that.
Okay.
I have done that. I stopped doing that for a while because I was having way too much healthy fat in one day. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
And is this something? Are you trying to sell this to coffee shops and everything? Like, because I mean, I'm still kind of shocked that you basically said this is just like a quarantine project. Right?
I know.
I thought this was maybe something that you sort of maybe latched onto, or there was something, because I mean, for your charity, your foundation for your mum, for mum, that I want to talk about in a little bit. But I thought it was honestly someone came to you and said, hey, there's a certain ingredient in here or something. Can we work together? But that's all you, right?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah. It happened like really quick, like one phone call to this company that's actually up here in Kent. So that's like the third party roaster that we work with. And after the call, they got the ball rolling. Wow. And, 3 weeks later, I had bags of coffee in hand.
Wow. Is there any ingredient in there where you're working on something for like brain health or anything like that?
Yeah. So the first one we did was just the coffee. And then the second one we roll out will have a nootropic in it, which is like a cognitive enhancer. So like a lot of coffee companies are starting to do that. Yeah. Because coffee already has like neurological profile in it where it'll enhance, like the caffeine, you'll feel good. Feel more aware, but you can add stuff to it, like functional mushrooms or, different things that will help visually. So I'm interested in it. So,
hey, by the way, I wasn't expecting this podcast to start like this, but I noticed the shirt because I had to ask you because I noticed I was like, oh man, I got to ask him about this. Right. Plus, it's a sweet logo and everything, dude. Yeah, good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny, man. You see these things that pop up with, I don't even know how you say it, the nootropics or the brain health in coffee. I always worry, though. This is what I worry about, that, like cigarettes back in the day, everyone's like, oh, I'm just smoke a cigarette. And you feel a certain way. I'm like, coffee is too good. I don't want like 30, 40 years or 20 years down the track, them to turn around and go, oh, all the long-term effects. You know what I mean? Like, because I drink way too much. It's the one thing I just can't, I just can't beat. So,
no, trust me. I'm having 3 cups a day. So,
so by the way, man, I'm so excited. I cannot believe finally we're back and we're looking at, you guys start up tomorrow, right?
Yeah, crazy.
You excited to get back?
Yeah, for sure. You always you never realize how much you miss just like even just like putting cleats on, like putting the uniform on, the playing catch, like, you don't realize. I think the game can kind of tire you out sometimes where you're like, I need a break. But then you like start to miss all those small intricacies. Now, I'm sure you're the same. And I think like when I get injured, I notice it the most because like you physically can't. Yeah. So I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, I now because I'm obviously done playing and I do miss it, man. Like I don't regret anything. I'm 37 years old, so it's not like I'm sitting here, I should have kept playing because the game's way younger. You guys, you're 26, right?
6, yeah.
Yeah, so you're in that ripe old age. But I I do look back, and one thing I do regret is, and not to get all mushy here, but taken for granted. You mentioned like those you're in the Pacific Coast League, and I used to just be I was on the salty squad, super bitter all the time, because I was going back and forth, and I was like, oh, Memphis is 100 degrees with 100% humidity, trying to get a good coffee somewhere, and it's blazing hot. And I'm like, I hate this. Get me home. But it's amazing, dude. You guys have been sitting home for months now, fresh off spring training. Spring training's that time where you're optimistic and you've got the new gear on and you're around your buddies, and then boom, then you got to shut it down. I couldn't imagine, dude. It would have been so hard when you got the news that shutting it down, right?
Oh my gosh, it was so weird because you'd never expect like a big corporation like MLB, NBA, NHL to just like shut operations. So I remember I was sitting at breakfast because I had just gotten optioned like the day before. And then I'm sitting at this restaurant eating with my wife, and it pops up on the screen like MLB suspends operations. Yeah. And so then I'm like, oh my God. So then I like, you don't know what that means. Yeah. You're like, are they just shutting their offices in New York and then we continue, or like, what does that mean? So, and then it just happened fast because it's like nobody knew anything. Yeah. So it was just like, we're going to do small groups. And then 4 hours later, it was like, okay, only groups of 2. And then 4 hours later, it was like, we're shutting the whole building. And then 4 hours after that, it was like, everybody's got to go home.
You're right, because, when I was playing, because I played, I was, my first year was 2007. So a couple of years after that, you had the recession. And it's like, oh, yeah, baseball's bulletproof. It's not going to affect it. And it really didn't. And you're watching the rest of the world just absolutely go through this huge crisis. And so you look at that thing, MLB, it's bulletproof. And you see the suspension, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, they'll have a couple of weeks just shut down. We'll just hang out at spring training. Dude, and here we are in the end of June or July now. Just sitting on what it blew my mind, the whole thing still.
Truly.
Where do you spend the isolation?
So my wife and her family are in Sacramento.
Gotcha.
So that's where I was at.
Do you struggle to find people to work out with, or do you have a crew back there that you can hit with?
I think like my biggest priority when I go certain places is before I even get there, I'll build a crew of physical therapists, massage, my strength guys, and then hitting guy. And so I'll research this for, months beforehand. So we moved to Sacramento in the fall of 2018. So like that summer, I was like connecting with all these people. So when I got there, it was like, I'm just ready to go. So luckily I had a good squad of people.
Man, that is so smart, because I would just go, oh, yeah, I'm going here for the off season. I'm going back to Australia and just be lazy. And then I'm throwing it to a brick wall. It's brutal. And I tell people that, I'm like, yeah, man, I was literally, there was, off seasons there where, and I had 2010, I had a terrible year. And I swear to God, I was just so distracted that off season, too much stuff going on. Not, it wasn't like I was doing crazy stuff, but I literally didn't lock down a throwing partner or, a place to work out or any of that kind of stuff. So I was just like scrambling, trying to Google map where a weight room is. And it's brutal. There's no way you can do that. I feel like there's got to be a lot of guys, even at a high level, in that boat. First of all, because so many things are shut down, right? So and you had access to that? You're able to, to get in and access the coaches and that team around you, even during the isolation?
Yeah. So right when I saw the MLB was suspending operations, I started, because I figured that most things would probably shut down, especially gyms. I didn't have to be like a genius to figure that one out. So I started calling, and then I started actually going online and buying like equipment, because we have a gym at the house that, it has a barbell, it has a bench, a squat rack, got some dumbbells. But I started going and buying some more stuff, just because I knew I'd probably be stuck there for a little bit. And so then when I got home, I had enough where my strength guys could write my program based on what I had at home.
Gotcha.
So I was doing sprints, in the street. I was lifting in the garage. And, I'm pretty self-motivated, so it wasn't like super hard to stick with it, and then as negotiations continued on, and you could like kind of feel like, okay, we're getting closer to a decision, and that wasn't like quick. That was like 10 weeks. But
yeah,
then I started to, go out to the cage, and it was just the guy I hit with and me. But yeah, no, it's weird because like, you're putting yourself and your family in harm's way because you can't just like, roll out here and not be ready to compete at this level.
It's amazing. And you mentioned, with the, with the negotiations going on, I feel like all of a sudden, all right, we have a decision, boom, strap it on, get out to Seattle or wherever, and literally 3 weeks to get ready.
Serious.
And people ask me all the time, as a pitcher, and I'm like, I would have no shot, man. I was a slow mover getting going. And not because if there was years where it was different, if there's years where I had to make the team, I was gung-ho. It was so short-term. I was like, all right, impress in spring training. But there was a couple of years there where I knew I was on the team. Man, my April was brutal. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, if you're one of these young guys trying to impress, you may be a little bit better off if you've had enough, in these months. But that's just it. It's going to be interesting, man. Do you think 3 weeks together as a group is enough?
It's so hard to say because, like, I've been in camps where you've had like 3 weeks and like the team's just like clicking and everybody like gets each other, and I think it definitely helps when you have like groups coming through the minor leagues together. Right. So you kind of have like a collective a little bit more than just if it's a bunch of random, pieces. Yeah. And then I think, we had, maybe 3.5 weeks of spring training, 4 weeks. Yeah. So it's like we kind of have an understanding. But like in terms of like performance, it could be interesting because, I saw, Nelson Cruz not get a hit in 3 weeks. But then go on to hit 40 homers in the season. So it's like, it's going to be interesting.
And there's got to be a big group of guys who literally just had a bow net in their backyard off a tee. And now all of a sudden they're going to face live pitching. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It's just, and again, it's one of these things that you can't look back because everyone's in the same boat, but you don't want a situation you're 3 weeks into a season going, oh, well, I'm over because everyone's in the same boat. It's just, it's going to be so, and look, right now the conversation, when I jump on radio and everyone's asking, oh, does this mean all these young players are going to get a chance to play right away? Yeah. But I think too, like there's those players I think about coming off last year. Like, for example, you made your debut last year. So you're right in that spot where you have a big opportunity to impress, get a ton of at-bats and do everything else. You said you're optioned right before it all broke, but you knew at some point early on in the season you're going to get a chance to go up, play and stick. But you've got Murphy, Austin Nola, these guys, they're kind of not stuck in the middle, but they're right there that it's their time now to really put up the numbers. And that's where I just feel for those guys because it's like, man, this is my year 2020 and half of it's gone. Right. You know what I'm saying? Do you ever think about that? And first of all, do you guys have like Zoom sessions where everyone's talking, or do you keep in contact with guys on the roster?
Yeah, no, we have a group chat that we are talking in every day pretty much from video games to baseball to what was going on the last couple months. But you're right, like especially being a guy who's like who kind of like needed a longer season because like last year, for example, like I got brought up, I got sent back, I got brought back up, I ruptured my spleen, then I'm out for 2 months and I come back, the roster expands to 40, I'm playing every 5th day. It was like I saw like you need kind of a long season because stuff like that happens. And so like it's definitely in the back of at least my mind where it's like, if you're a 4th outfielder in a 60-game season, like you might get 24 games. So
and then
crazy.
And then just recently, obviously minor league baseball wasn't looking good. Everyone's like, oh, I feel like that's kind of pushed to the side too. And I'm sitting there going, hold on, there's so many things attached to that. The whole minor league's being shut down. Sure. First of all, it's, if you're a AAA guy and you've had a big off season, for example, all of a sudden you go, sorry, you really have no platform to play, do anything. I know. What's the plan? Speaking of that, what is the plan for the guys? I know there's 60 guys, right? And you stay together the whole 60 games.
So I think, at least from what I'm hearing, I think every team's different in terms of like where they're putting their taxi squad.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure we'll all be together for this, summer camp, and then, and then once we split off, I think the guys who are going to be non-travel taxi squad will be in Tacoma.
Right.
And then just basically continuing summer camp down there.
Gotcha. And just simulated games?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll probably just be like you probably have a couple pitchers throw, a couple innings, and
right.
I don't know if it would actually be like because I think it's only going to be about 20 guys down there, maybe 25. So not enough to field 2 teams. So couple hitters.
Hey, I'll pitch. I'll come down. I'll pump up 76. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then tomorrow, you guys start tomorrow. Do you have to go in? Do you do physicals like you do in spring training?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think there's any physical unless you have something that's bothering you.
Gotcha.
And so we got tested. We've had testing since Saturday. So some guys go Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Right.
And then it takes about 2 days to find out results. And then tomorrow, I'm pretty sure it's 2 groups. So you have like a morning group and an afternoon group.
How big are those groups?
I'm not sure. I think maybe like if there's 60, I don't know, maybe like 15 each group.
And so how long do you stay in the smaller groups?
I want to say
that again is cutting into the spring or summer camp time. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I think I want to say it's a few days, maybe even like a week, and then it extends to like more. It can be like all position players together.
Gotcha. God,
so I'm not sure. It's gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of testing, so your brother Hunter Bishop, he's a big prospect with the Giants. So he tested positive 2 days ago. Is he coming in with the Giants, a part of the 60 players?
Yeah, he was supposed to, but now they got to hold off till he tests negative twice.
No, test negative twice. Wow. So where does he go?
So he's in Arizona, and he actually told me that. He knew it was a real thing, but he, I'd heard, you're young and healthy, you won't be affected. Right. And so, he kind of, in Arizona, obviously had much looser restrictions on everything, so he, he was hanging out with friends and not being crazy or anything. But then he went to a restaurant one night, the server had it and gave it to, his girlfriend, him, a couple
how
of their friends.
How do you know the server had it?
Because that's what it got traced back to. Was
really?
Yeah. So that's how they found out, was somebody from the restaurant had called his girlfriend and said, "Hey, server that was at your table, had it, so it would be smart to get tested." They got tested.
Server wearing a face mask?
I mean, I would assume so, but I don't know. Arizona was crazy with their restrictions. I mean, they went back to normal pretty much.
Right. Yeah. What man, that's crazy. So they're tracing it back and everything else. Man, that's such a bummer because you're about to start. He's part of these 60 players, right? Mm-hmm. Getting a chance to to come in, be around the big league coaches, then boom, all of a sudden, hang with them. When does he get tested again? Like, how long do they give him?
So I think it's either today or tomorrow because he found out. Oh no, so it'd be 2 days because he found out last Saturday.
Right.
So he'll get tested again either tomorrow or Saturday, and then they'll decide what they want to do. But it took him. The only symptoms he had was he couldn't smell or taste for like 5 days.
Really? And that's it?
That's it. So yesterday he I guess could taste for the first time.
Right.
But yeah, it's he said that although he didn't feel like a fever or body aches, like it is kind of worrisome to think about like the long-term effects, like with his lungs and stuff like that. You don't know.
You just don't know. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, it's just that's the one thing. And I get it. The thing is, the hard thing for me is people make this, political. You know what I mean? Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's all the way this way, all the way that way. And
exactly.
And I'm not about to. I wear a mask, right? Obviously, in Seattle, you throw one on, you wear one out. And I forgot. I went to the grocery store. I was running up. It was like 9 o'clock at night. wife and I hadn't eaten yet, and I was like, oh man. Took the dog out quick. I didn't have a mask, and I was like, I ran to the grocery store. I'm like, I haven't got a mask. So I'm sitting there with my hood on, and not because it's just one of those things that enough people make it political or the whole mask shaming, whatever. It's just like, you know what, just wear a mask. Just seriously, just throw one on. Hey, whether you feel strongly about it, either way, just wear one. It seriously. What about, do you guys have, do you have to wear them when you go in tomorrow? Like, is there, there must be so many protocols. I'm not going to make you tell them all, but there must be just huge red lines through an email, basically do this, do that, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we have to wear a mask at all times other than if we're lifting or on the field. And other than that, we have to wear one.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. So there's not the Mariners, like Nike always come out with like some new arm sleeve or something.
Yeah.
So Nike haven't come out with some face mask or something that you guys have to wear. It's so. I mean, I'm thinking, oh man, Nike's going to jump all over this opportunity for sure for MLB. So there's no. So it's not a situation where you have to wear one on the field if you're competing, but you just literally have to wear one. Do you have to wear one in the dugout? Do you know?
So you don't have to wear one in the dugout, but you're only allowed, I think, so many guys in the dugout. Everybody else has to be sitting in the stands.
Right. Yeah.
So it's gonna be like travel ball.
That's awesome, dude. Sitting in the stands. Do you think anyone will wear one in the dugout? Like, do you think this is going to get a situation? I feel like players now on Twitter and Instagram a lot more outspoken, and you included, right? Obviously, sure. I've noticed that you're on Twitter lately. Whereas, and again, for me, there's things I want to say on Twitter is I'm not smart enough to put it together in 40 characters, whatever it is. I just, because first of all, I typo something and then people jump on me about that. And it's just such a distraction. But you do a really good job, and I'm going to get to that in a second, of putting things together in tweets and everything else to get your point across. But I feel like today's player it's not easier, but they're more inclined to be more outspoken about whether it's wearing a mask, like whether it's, like being an ambassador to wear a mask or whatever it may be. You know what I mean?
For sure. No, definitely. Because I was so included in the stigma that you got to be an athlete, only an athlete. And then, you have things happen off the field and you realize you're very human, and, being a Major League Baseball player doesn't shield you from being a human. Right. So I'm a human first. Like, I can decide to stop playing this game today. Like, the game could be taken from me today.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak out about things that I'm passionate about, like, Alzheimer's and brain health and, caring about people and, trying to bring hope to people that went through what my family went through, or to what we're going through right now in America with, racial inequality and, trying to educate myself and others.
Why are you so passionate? And I'll get to the brain health in a second, but with the racial inequality, you're really outspoken on Twitter about that. What is it for you? Like, what is it that you feel, compelled to get on Twitter or something, or to even answer people back?
Yeah, I mean, no, for sure. So I don't know if it was a blessing, but I grew up in a melting pot in the Bay Area. I could go 10 minutes west and I was in, the so-called ghetto of East Palo Alto. I could go, 10 minutes north and I'm in Atherton, which is one of the richest cities in America. I played football growing up, played baseball growing up. I went to a private, Catholic, predominantly white high school. Yeah. And I saw a lot of my friends when I played Pop Warner, which is like youth football. A lot of my friends were from Redwood City, East Palo Alto. When I went to high school, we had a couple of kids from East Palo Alto, Polynesian, African American, and my dad was really good about telling me to go to their house, not have them come to our house. And what that did for me at a young age was make me realize how privileged I was, and the privilege that I grew up with. And so while I didn't understand it completely, I didn't educate myself, when I was 15, 16. What I saw was a completely different world, where while they were, at the same high school as me, they were having to work off to get their scholarship,
Right.
work events at the school, work in the school community to try and repay, the scholarship that they were given because their parents couldn't afford it. They're living, 4 or 5 person family. And
well, you went to a private school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's around $20,000 the tuition.
Yeah.
Right, it's pretty expensive. So you're saying so some of them got scholarships. Whether it was, are you talking about financial aid, or are you talking about because they're athletes? Was it a sporting school like that?
No, so it was it'd be financial aid,
right.
And they would call it work grant. So
gotcha.
You would,
gotcha.
So you had to basically work
gotcha.
to get the scholarship.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yes, so I saw them, and that was from an early age. And then I had this, this fascination with African American history, from Africans coming to this land before it was the United States, and being shackled and chained, and this gruesome history through the 17, 18, 1900s, through the civil rights, and then when I got to UW, I took a lot of history classes that were taught by African American professors. So
right.
I saw a different side of the history than what I was taught in high school, which frankly, it's whitewashed. Right. And that's kind of like where this all started. So while it's my fault that I was never as outspoken as I am today, it wasn't because I didn't want to, but it was neglect on my part that I didn't stand up.
Did you feel like fearful to be that outspoken because you don't want to piss anyone off, ruffle feathers, or even the Mariners, or whatever the organization, whoever you're, technically an employee of? Was it a thing like, I don't want to be too outspoken here because this might ruffle feathers, even with the Mariners, for example?
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% valid. I think as an athlete, you're just told to play the game. We talked about a little bit ago, but then I realized, we have a community, a group of people that are hurting, and they're crying out, and they've been crying out for decades.
Right. And
for us not to listen, for us not to stand up, to not educate ourselves, and to, be passive, that's a form of racism.
Right.
Gotcha. While it's not, proactive, where you're out there, throwing out racial slurs, like, it's honestly just as guilty, and I don't want to be a part of that group.
Is it stressful though? Like back to social media, getting on, because that's at the moment, especially in isolation, that's kind of like your platform, right? Where you get on, whether it's Twitter or Instagram. Is it stressful though, dealing with the comments and reactions and things like that? Does that just add stress to your day?
It did, and then I realized that it's going to happen, because not everybody's going to, share your same opinion, and that's fine. I don't need you to, but, and I can handle it. But at the same time, I want to be on the right side of history, and I want to show the guys, the African-American guys I played with, the African-American, guys and girls that I grew up with, that I stand with them, and I understand that I'll never understand what they go through.
Right, gotcha.
But I do understand my privilege and what I grew up with, like I said. But I want to be on the right side of history and try and help as I can.
Do you feel like, what you went through with your mom, and especially last year, right? From May last year, and trying to play baseball in 2019, after dealing with that, and all the effort you put in, your family put in, do you feel like it's not easier, but it's more natural to be more outspoken, or raise your opinion, raise your voice about certain things after everything you went through?
Yeah, no, I think the one thing I noticed through the whole, starting the charity and raising awareness, is you realize that your platform can affect change.
Yeah.
So I never had the question was never in my mind of like, oh, can I affect change? I know I can, because I've done it. We've done it. So when this whole thing happened, I was like, it's a good opportunity for me to stand up. Like, I am fairly educated, and like I said, just taking history from a different lens and seeing it, and knowing about the Tulsa massacre before the past couple weeks.
See, I read that on your Twitter. I had no idea. I'm looking, it's like, whoa, like, and from following you on Twitter, you know what I mean?
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, you go through high school and you learn about these things, but not on a deep enough level. So yeah, to me, we have a lot more to learn, and I'm excited to do that.
Yeah. Now, speaking of 2019, and everything, just back to you with your charity and what, with your mom and everything you went through, was 2019. Do you feel like when you go back to the Braden Bishop version pre your mom with Alzheimer's and everything that went through, and then post that, or even dealing with it, and with the For Mom stuff that came out, and the Marins. I mean, because I got a front row seat to it. We talked about it a lot on air, and then for 2019, after the month of May, was baseball tougher? Was it easier? Like, was it something that you looked at and said, well, this is just a game? Like, how was playing baseball in 2019 after May?
So, like, the hardest part was kind of subconsciously noticing things around the ballpark. Yeah. Like, you see a mom and her kid sitting above the dugout, or you see after the game, player's mom is there and they're hanging out with them in the tunnel. And so I knew I was never going to get that again. Yeah. And so then, I'm like big on reminiscing. So I would like think about when my mom would walk me to the park and throw me wiffle balls and, stuff like that. So that affected me. And, to when she was diagnosed in 2014, it was really important for me. And it didn't put like an extra pressure, but I wanted to try and get to the big leagues before she got too bad, where she couldn't be there. Yeah. So then when I made my debut in the U.S., it was against the Cubs, and she couldn't be there, but I got a video from her, and I think I posted a video on my Instagram, but she doesn't know who she's talking to. Yeah, she can't even say the words. She has to be told what to say. But just the fact that she was there physically and verbally communicated what my aunt said to her, you kind of like realize, like, God, like, I did it. Like, at least it registered, and so that was tough. Like, you're so anxious it was a good reminder, though, because I was sitting in my locker when I got it, and I'm so nervous because it was like, I'm making my stateside debut. I mean, you know how it is. Yeah. And then you get that video and you realize, like, I could go 0 for today. I can't not get a hit, but just the fact that, deep down she's proud. Yeah. And she knows, like, that's all that mattered. Yeah, I guess it puts such a bigger emphasis on every at bat, really, because I mean, not that now I have to go and hit 300 and go to the Hall of Fame or anything like that. It's just more of like you said, the little things that you notice around the ballpark, or things that, and from an outside, because you and I I've never spoke to you before this, right? And this, I'm stoked I got a chance to sit down and talk to you. But I look at this, and we cover it, and it's such a, not a feel good thing, but it's like, it's such so many positive vibes with your charity and everything else. But when when you dig down a little bit, you forget about the walking out and seeing, other players with their mums and all those little things that go on that must just, replay themselves in your head. Do you have do you talk to people about, do you have therapy and someone you speak to, or is it just inside your family, or do you actually go see, do you have a professional person that you can bounce all this stuff off? Right. So, I mean, I think we've done a really good job of surrounding our charity with really good, neurologists, really good psychologists, people who are professionals. But I also think it's really important, and this is our charity, personally, even just in the world today, a lot of things can affect your mental health, you know. And I saw like my whole mom situation, like you feel the stress, you feel the anxiety, you know, you see your family, especially like my dad, who is her primary care, you know, him struggling, it causes anxiety. And I, as bad as I want to be like a tough guy and tough it out, that it got to a point where I just like couldn't, you know, I had to like, I had to kind of like relieve it, and so, you know, I'm huge proponent in, you know, talking to somebody, you know, whether it's a professional or, you know, a family member who's a good listener, and you know, it helped a lot because you feel like kind of like taking this weight and like giving it to somebody else to help you digest it. And that's like with my situation, you know, with anything. But I think like, especially for athletes, it's huge because I feel like we take on such a, you know, big, like you said, like just the fact that you can say something on social media and get attacked for it, even though you might be standing up for something that's right. You know, that causes like a stress, you know, and
big time.
It can weigh on you.
And I envy people because sometimes I'm too soft, like too scared to speak up on social media. Like there's things that drive me nuts. I say, I'm like, I don't want to piss anyone off or lose my job or anything like that. You know, but I envy, you know, guys like you who can speak up and do that. But you're right, the stress. And the other, I love the hey, you're just an athlete, so go play baseball. And I love that one. That makes no sense to me whatsoever when you get those ones back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. And, you know, like somebody said to me the other day, like, stick to sports or something. And I just sat back like, I appreciate your opinion, but I'm good. Like, I'm going to continue to do it. Because I think you're outweighed by people who you bring hope to and who don't have a voice and kind of like live through yours.
Right.
You know, and I like think about, it was probably like we're filming a documentary right now for mom.
Yeah.
And one of the kids I grew up with was African American, and we're standing outside the house that we rented to film, and this white lady was across the street, and she's just staring at him. And we're in Burlingame in the Bay Area, so it's like it's definitely a predominantly white neighborhood, staring at him, and she won't take her eyes off him. And I'm sitting there staring back at her, and she said, do you guys live there? And I said, we're renting this house. And she kind of like looked, and she just kept staring at him as she walked back and forth.
Right.
And I asked, like, do we have a problem? And she was like, yeah, I just don't feel comfortable like leaving and letting you guys. And I said, man, we're renting this house. So like, you could do whatever you want. Like nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, but I knew it was because, you know, she sees a kid who isn't going to be. So as that kid, like as, you know, an African-American man, like he's sitting there like, so she's literally doing that because I'm just standing here.
Yeah.
And
I'll never know what that feels like. You know what I mean?
Right. And I won't either.
But just the pile of just whatever gets dumped on you, just that one moment, and it just gets added to the hard, you know, downloaded onto that hard drive of yours as you move on with life. You know, it's, you know, again, I will never know what that feels like. Never, you know?
Same.
Okay. So this year, 2019, you make your debut, you go up to the big leagues. What was this offseason all about for you? What were you coming in saying, I'm going to make this friggin' team. This is what I got to do. This is the adjustment I have to make.
So, you know, like I said, I got an opportunity, then I got hurt. And then when I came back, the roster expanded. So I kind of had to like view myself in a different light than a starter, like everyday guy. Yeah. And I mean, there's not many guys who come up right away and just like have a starting job. You know, you kind of got to work really hard and then get a little bit lucky and be in the right position at the right time. But I knew like going into the offseason, okay, I got a good enough picture last year that I understand what I need to work on. And so I made those changes in my swing. You know, I felt great. Arm felt good. You know, I went on Drive Lines program.
Did that help? Did you feel like
a lot, because their head strength and throwing coach, when Driveline started, he's now the throw-in program coordinator at the gym I go to in Sacramento.
Oh, wow.
Shout out Kyle Rogers. But so basically did this Driveline program, and then I felt great. Body felt great. I was healthy. Like mentally kind of got over that hurdle of the spleen injury.
Yep.
And then I came to spring training. I'm like I'm doing everything I can. Like I work so hard, and I got punched right in the mouth, and I was struggling to get up. I'm not.
Why is that? Was it something? Was your swing off, or something you worked really hard on? It's like wasn't clicking. Why is that? When you said I got punched right in the mouth, like that moment you felt like that. What was it that you went back and said, "Oh, it's because of this"?
Yeah, no, I think obviously I think the swing was playing well off of situations that I could control, aka the cage. So I could set the velo machine up to 100 and find a way to make good contact with it. I was crushing flips, I was crushing overhand. I was standing in, timing was good. And then when I look back, I only did have 11 at bats, so it's not like a crazy big sample size, but just the way I felt, it wasn't clicking, and I absolutely did not want to use, I only had 11 at bats, I needed to make a change. But I think it was good for me because, you always hear that, good things happen to people who work hard. I don't really believe that. Right. I think I know a lot of people that work really hard, and they don't. You don't just because you work hard doesn't mean that you deserve it more than somebody else.
Right.
And just because you get an opportunity and you work really hard doesn't mean it's gonna just happen.
Right.
And maybe spring training wasn't my time for that to happen. And,
right.
I do have a strong relationship with God, so I believe if I just keep putting in the time and taking one step after another, that but if it doesn't, like if for some reason it just didn't happen, like I just wasn't supposed to, like I put everything I had into the bucket, you know.
And I think too, and you mentioned, even just because you work hard doesn't mean you get that opportunity. And I agree, but at the same time, I think, and you could speak for this, if you're working so hard to make that one little adjustment, or even with your arm, with your arm strength and stuff like that, you're at least more aware along the way. If you went into spring training not quite sure, did I work as hard or anything like that, you're just going to second guess, and you just lose that trust every other day.
That's what, and so like I'm not saying like, oh, just because it won't always pay off, like don't work hard. Like I think that's because think about it. Like if let's say I never got another opportunity and I didn't fill the bucket completely, every single day, putting in everything I had, mentally, physically, spiritually, like when I'm done, I would look back and be like, I didn't put everything in. Like, what if? Nah, it needs to be like you're going all out all the time. You're filling the bucket every day, putting your work in, being diligent, being intentful. But if it doesn't happen, you can look back and go, no, I put everything in. Like I feel at peace because I did absolutely everything I could.
Hey, do you ever feel like when you guys, especially in spring training, I used to be the worst at this. I used to go in and I used to look and see what group I'm in, or how a coach is talking to this player. And I used to play GM in my head, like, oh man, they're prioritizing him. They've had a meeting a week before spring training, and they're like, Ryan, whatever. No, this guy. Do you ever do that, like on the daily? That's the worst. I feel like, at least, and everyone's like, oh well, coaches and GMs are so much more. They communicate way more and everything else. But still, man, spring training can you could be working your butt off the entire off season. Swing feels amazing. You walk in, and that one little thing you view is just kind of throws you off. Going, oh, why am I in this hitting group? Why am I in group 4 for BP? Okay, good. That's still a thing.
No, heck yeah. I think everybody, like you get in and like your locker's in a certain part of the locker room.
Oh,
like,
there you go. Exactly.
Like there's a couple like I'm like mixed in with like a couple like non-roster guys, like a couple like, guys who have been like prospects, like, do they view me like as non-roster? Like, you just, or like you're on field 2 for, cuts and relays, and you're like, oh,
that's the one. There's the field 1 group and the field 2 group. Like, oh man, how do I what have I done? Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So crazy. And then, but you're right. You mentioned you only had 11 at bats, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you need to have like that one game where you hit that ball to right center.
Exactly.
And then you're around second base, and Scott Service is looking at I mean, there's little stupid things that can snowball. It's so true, because everyone's like, well, he only had 11 at bats, but it's 1 or 2 at bats can really it sounds dumb, but can really change how your mind works.
Sure. Well, I think even more like you put in like that, like you're working on, like as a hitter, like you're working on like that bottom hand or whatever it is. Yeah. And then like you might not see the results in the game for a couple of days, but then all of a sudden that one at bat, like you get that, and you're like, oh shoot, I haven't felt that. Like that's because the work I've been doing. Right. And then you start to roll. Yeah. And like I feel like that's what you live for. Is just like that adjustment clicking.
That's so funny. I'm glad that's still a thing, because I feel like I was like, because I feel like I'm out of touch with what happens to guys when they go to spring training. I feel like I'm older. Things have changed. 2020. I'm ancient now, but I'm glad that's still a thing. Thank you for being honest about that. I appreciate it. Because I would talk to some guys like, no, I don't even think about that stuff. I just do my thing. It's like, come on, man. There has to be some, worry about that.
It's deep down there.
Oh yeah. Hey, how do I get one of those shirts, by the way?
If you go on our website, cognitioncoffeecompany.com,
boom,
it'll be like right there on the front page.
Perfect.
We have like mugs, shirts, sweatshirts.
That's a sweet shirt, dude. I like it.
It's solid. It's awesome. Solid.
And that's connected. So, and can you is that like connected to the For Mom website as well? Because I've been on that.
So from For Mom, there's no connection, but if you're on the Cognition one, there's a connection to the For Mom one.
Dude, you're an entrepreneur. I'm still in my head. I'm baffled. The fact that you can get the shirts, the logo, the packaging. Because I've noticed your packaging and everything. Yeah. I even saw something with Keurig. Or did you have?
I'm pretty like, I like health and wellness, and so I'm big into like reusable. But a lot of the Keurig pods aren't reusable. So I wound up buying on Amazon just like a ton of reusable Keurig cups. So they're like plastic, but you just wash them and reuse them.
Gotcha.
And so I just sold that with a bag of coffee. And people love it because they, environmentally friendly and stuff like that.
And with your charity too, I mean, that basically said, I'll start raising money for this. And now it's turned into something that's massive, right?
Yeah, well, that's what's crazy is like so organically grown.
Yeah.
I can't take like full credit, like it was all me all the time. I had the platform, but then, I had guys like our strength coach at University of Washington, Dave Rack, our sports information director at University of Washington, Brian Tom. Like these are like some guys who are like instrumental in, getting a story to the media.
Why those guys? Like, why you mentioned like a strength coach at UW? Why him?
Yeah.
Like, why were they so instrumental?
Yeah, so
stuff like this. By the way, I can't figure out online marketing to save my life. I mean, I've got like, even with this podcast, I'm like, how do I market this? I have no idea.
You're right.
I feel like and again, obviously everyone's like, oh well, he's a big leaguer. That means it's just going to go like this. It's not the case, right? You need people to help.
For sure. Well, that was like the thing. It's like I'm a junior at UW, and so what happened was my mom had got sick and diagnosed in September of 2014, and then I'm pretty upbeat, good vibes, I'm talking. So our strength coach noticed something like kind of off a little bit.
Really?
And I had told nobody on the team at the time. And so he called me in and was like, hey, what's wrong? And so it was kind of like a moment where I just like broke down, and we kind of had that moment of like connection where it was like, it wasn't so much like coach to player.
Yeah.
It was like person to person.
Yeah.
And so he was like, all right, I'm here for you. And then a couple of days later, he came to me and was like, hey, why don't we hold an event? And so that was kind of like the start where I was like, oh, I've always wanted to advocate for a cause. Like I didn't want it to be so personal, but it is now. Yeah. So let's move. And so then we held a deadlifting competition. So that was the first event.
Yeah.
And so that's how he came in. And then after that event, then the sports information director got the story, to King 5, to Fox, to ESPN, Baseball America. And then next thing you know, like you have this national story through, from a college athlete.
Yeah.
And then like as the platform grew, obviously you reach more people, and then financially, you get more donations where you can bring in a team of people to, make it better and bigger.
At what point did you feel like, because you mentioned earlier, during the chat, that I feel like I'm actually making a change. Sometimes when you look at, charities or I've been involved in some, it's like, man, am I really adding to this? Like, am I just a drop in the ocean right now?
Right.
At what point did you feel like, man, I'm really making headway with this?
I think so. I would say I started feeling that way after, let's see, spring training 2019. So I got hurt in the summer of 2018. I broke my forearm. Mm-hmm. So I was rehabbing in Arizona. Yep. And every time I've had a that was my first big injury. But I stood there and I was like, I need to become a better human. Yeah. Because I can't play right now. Like, nobody cares about me because I can't play. Yeah. And like, if you're not on the field, you can't help a team. So, and I'm realistic. So I was like, I need to get better as a human. Like, what avenue do I have? Oh, well, I have the charity, but I'm by myself. That was the thing at the time. It was just me and my brother. But at the time he's in college, so he can't do much. So that whole summer I was just planning for 2019. Like, what are we going to do? So I was like, I'm going to have a Top Golf tournament. And that was it. I was like, I'm just going to, do it. So we had raised enough money, shout out to like Robbie Cano and Nelly and Segura. They had donated me a good amount of money to kind of like get me off the ground.
That's awesome.
And I'll forever be thankful for that because, you need funds to make moves especially in this world. So we 36 days before that Top Golf tournament, which was in spring training 2019. Yep. I was by myself and I had a plan, but I didn't know like how many things go into a charity event because I've never had a big one like that. Yeah,
right.
So
it's not another deadlifting contest, that's for sure.
No, exactly. So this one, it was like I was getting questions from Top Golf like, what do you want for food? Do you want a stage? Do you have a DJ? Do you have an MC? Do you have an auction? And I'm like,
all the little things. That's right. Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have, I didn't even think about these things because I've never done it. Yeah. So I got super lucky to meet this group in Arizona and Phoenix. The company's called Personalized Solutions, and they're like a PR branding event management company. And so I hired them 36 days before the event.
Wow.
And they absolutely crushed it.
But when you said to them, oh, here's the date, were they like, what?
Yeah, basically they were like, oh my gosh, like, we don't know, like, it's going to take a miracle. And I'm like, honestly, like. And
they just crushed it.
And they crushed. I mean, we did it in Glendale, which is like right down the street from Peoria. And we had, 300 people. We raised $30,000 and so after that I was like, screw it, like, I'm hiring you. Then Jessica, who's the head of Personalized Solutions now, is our executive director. No way. And then she has we have a events coordinator and then director of operations now. Gotcha. But the summer of 2018, planting those seeds, I saw them pay off, and then having them work for us all of 2019. We held Top Golf, we did another tournament, cornhole tournament last July, and then we held a Christmas event in San Francisco because after Hunter got drafted, and then we did Top Golf literally like 2 days before COVID shut everything down. So
Oh, you snuck that one in, yeah.
Snuck it in, but we raised $85,000.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
So basically you're 30 days away. You're on Gildan's website trying to put a shirt together.
Yeah.
And trying to put a logo together. And then you're like, what the hell am I doing? You know, it's funny. I like just real quick. And I was just thinking as you're telling that story, I do baseball camps and stuff back in Australia.
Yeah.
And me and Trent Olchin, he's another Aussie. He played in the big leagues. And him and I are, you know, really close, and we put this company together, and we do a bunch of stuff. Like we try and get kids, you know, college scholarships and all this stuff. But our first camp, like, oh yeah, we'll just have a camp. You know, 100 kids will rock up. But we rock up. It's pouring rain. Field gets shut down. We have to find an indoor facility. We've got a line of people out. We have no idea what we're doing. But there's just like piles of shirts. Like my wife was there, and she's like, hey, we need to give these kids name tags because like. We need to know who these. Like we didn't ever have a spreadsheet of like who signed up. It was a nightmare. And I was just thinking that I was like, obviously that's on a lot larger scale. You've got Robbie Cano, Nelson Cruz saying, "Hey, here's money, dude. Put a charity event together, and you're trying to plan this." Man, I couldn't imagine. But again, it worked out, and now you're killing it. So that's awesome.
For sure.
You must have learned. You must just have a doctorate in whatever brain health, neuro health.
Yeah.
I mean, you must know. It's the scariest thing, man. And not to, you know, you've talked about this a lot, but it's the scariest thing because, you know, even my wife and I sit there and our memory goes for a second. I'm like, oh man, is this early? Is this the early stages of it? It's so because no one has a clue really what's going on, right?
Yeah, right. And that's like a huge thing that we've been working with this company in San Francisco, Savonics Incorporated. So Malia Charvat, who's their CEO, she was a neurologist at Stanford, and then she started this independent research development company, Savonics. And so they developed an app where you can take a test, and it doesn't give you an answer like, yes, you have it or you don't, but it helps their algorithm basically pinpoint like those, like, it's kind of going for a second. Yeah. Like, there's such a thing as brain clutter, where we just consume too much, where it just can't all stay in there. So it's like, I forgot that, you know, that person I met like 4 days ago, I forgot their name. Like that might not be Alzheimer's. That could just be you're taking in so much that you overlook.
And we've got 2 kids. We've got so much stuff going on, stress. I mean, but it is, you know, when you look at what you're doing and everything else. So that they've got an app. Is it the app out now?
Yeah. So if you go on their website, Savonics.com, they have.
How do you spell that? I'm gonna write that down.
Let me make sure I get the website correct because I don't want to send people to. So they're from San Francisco. So Savonics.com. This is what the website looks like.
So it's SAVONIX.com.
NIX, yep. And I mean, just right there on their front page, it says enroll and study.
Gotcha.
And then once you click on that, it takes you through everything. And I mean, it's good. It takes about like 35 minutes, but it provides them with data from different people.
Right.
But what we've ran into is a lot of people are like nervous to take it.
I was going to say, people won't step up and do it because they're worried about the result, right?
Sure. And, you know,
or like, embarrassed or to talk to people like you said earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's like a big thing. It's like just kind of breaking down those walls of not wanting, you know, to know. But, you know, because it's like some where it's like, you know, like in my mom's case, hey, you have it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, oh, wow. So there's nothing. Like, you can't offer anything.
Yeah. And there's no, I mean, do they offer, or did you guys look into like exercises you can do to stimulate the brain? Anything?
Yeah. There's just nothing that's like proven to actually help. So like, hey, we have this trial you could try, but you know, here's side effects and my mom was very stubborn. She was like, I don't want to be a guinea pig. So she just slowly declined, and sad to see, but hopefully one day we won't have, you know, even if we don't get a cure, to be able to prolong life. So it's not a, you know, 5-year decline. Right. It's a 25, 30-year deal. Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of what we're fighting for at this point.
You, switching gears here, you excited about tomorrow? Getting into,
For sure.
I couldn't.
I'm excited to get back to it.
It's going to be way different, obviously, but just like you said, putting on the spikes, playing catch, T-Mobile Park. It's crazy. But anyway, Braden, I'll let you go, man. I've taken up way too much of your time right now. You got a big day tomorrow prepping, but hey, I appreciate it, dude. And I'm going to go check out that grab a shirt. There's coming in other colors. I need to look slim.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And congrats, by the way. I know how hard it is to start something. I barely could start this podcast, months ago. Or create a website, So, awesome, man. This has been fun. And hopefully next time we do this, I said this to some of your teammates, hopefully next time we do this, it's in person, doing something fun.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where
definitely.
we can, do a workout or something or something. Take me through your velocity program. Something
definitely,
like that.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, Braden. I appreciate it, man. Have a good afternoon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this episode of The Top Step. Remember, go tell your friends, go press the download button, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this on Apple, Google Play, Spotify. Make sure you click that subscribe button. It helps this podcast, helps out a lot. And that way I can keep doing this. I am going to keep doing it regardless of what happens. If we're still stuck in quarantine. This is not just a coronavirus quarantine thing. This is something that I've loved doing. It's really helped me out a lot mentally, hearing these stories. So I appreciate you guys listening from Australia, the US, Canada, all my bots there over in Russia, all the Twitter bots or the whatever it is. I've got some listeners in Russia. I don't know where that's coming from. Some bot farm. Online. I don't know. I can't figure out the whole online thing. All right, guys. We'll catch you next week on The Top Step.